Oh, Jerome, a birthday party at Pizza Hut. What fun.
You bet, Mom.
Okay, sweetie. Have a good time.
Sure will.
You look so cute. Remember to say hello to Mrs. Miller.
I will.
And don't forget everything I told you.
Okay.
Have fun. Hello, Jerome.
Hi, Miss Miller.
Wish Jessica a happy birthday.
Here.
And remember, polite little boys always use their napkins.
We're gonna party right now.
Oh, how do we chew? With our mouths closed.
We're gonna party
Don't forget to share. Share, share. Use your silverware. And sweetie, I don't care what the other little boys do. You keep your elbows off the table. And Jerome, please,
Goodbye, Jerome.
be nice to the little girls. Honey, did you have a good time?
I did everything you said. I was even nice to a girl.
Oh, my little angel.
Yeah.
Thank goodness I am given a break from those Moonbeam Entertainment films. With a Patreon request. And this one could not have come at a better time. This is from Andrew Shepard. With his ongoing patronage, he was able to get a flick of his choice covered right here on the show. I would not like to thank him for his ongoing support, but also the movie he provided for today's episode. I really do. This one is so close to my childhood, I could not have passed it up. Many thanks. Many, many thanks. I needed this after the last one. If you just want to be like Andrew, get a flick of your choice viewed right here on the show, go over to my Patreon page, make a donation, and I might try and cover it either this year or next, depending on how things go. Schedule's getting full, but yeah, I'll see what I can do. And while you're there, check out all the other rewards, episodes that have been made far, far in advance. You get the drill. As I was saying, this one is so, so close to my heart. For today, we are going back to the Don Bluth with perhaps one of his most classic and notable... Alright, Morgan, I'm sorry I sent you to that planet without any of your consent, but if it helps, Please be good. You have no idea what I had to go through in order to get here. I had to fight a giant seal, a killer sloth, and an elephant with 2 tusks. No! Dinosaurs! I'm coming out of here! I'm surrounded! Trapped forever! Eep-up! Eep-up! I should be still mad at him for what he did to me in the last episode. But it's even more sadder to see him in this kind of state. Save me, Sam Neill. I won't ask for much. I might not be able to cure all of your PTSD of an extinct creature, but if I can in some way help that not all prehistoric beings are out to get you, would that help in some kind of way? Scientifically speaking, no. But from a hypothetical standpoint of fantasy, I guess it doesn't hurt to try. So you're okay with me reviewing The Land Before Time, then? Okay. First, some history. And this is important for later. After work on The Secret of NIMH and creating some video games, Don Bluth met with businessman Morris Sullivan, who was impressed with Bluth's work on NIMH. They formed a new animation company called Sullivan Bluth Productions, which also caught the attention of Steven Spielberg. He too was amazed by Bluth's rat animated fantasy and granted a 3-picture deal with Bluth and Company, leading to the success of American Tail. Meanwhile, Morris wanted to relocate their animation company to Ireland in order to take advantage of the country's grants and tax incentives. This proved somewhat problematic during the process of their next feature, given there would be 2 established animation companies, one in America and one in Ireland. Yet, in the middle of all that, Spielberg and his buddy George Lucas met with Bluth for an idea for their second film, right as An American Tail was ready for release. Given dinosaurs were a popular subject with children, it was decided their next project would be a prehistoric version of Bambi, but more in line with Fantasia's Rite of Spring segment. Eventually, the idea for a silent animated dinosaur movie was altered to have them talk, for fear it would be hard to have a storyline be made without dialogue. Tale as old as time indeed. Story credit goes to Judy Fruberg and Tony Geiss, who not only collaborated prior on American Tail, but even had a hand in writing episodes for Sesame Street. Despite having worked in the field of children media, it was felt their drafts were too juvenile, and Stu Krieger was hired to rework the material. Huh. Sounds like they had quite the writing team at bay. What else did Stu do after Land Before Time? Let's just say a little hit and miss. Though, honestly, Smart House wasn't that bad. I think that one is highly underrated. Thank you very much. Normally I discuss all of the production history before we dive into the movie, but this is a case where some of it's kind of crucial to the film in general, given how certain changes that happen behind the scenes would affect the final result. So instead, I'll chime in once in a while with important pieces that really make up for the criticism. First off, what I do love about this movie is the way it opens. Even as a kid, I've always been impressed by how it establishes its own world so beautifully. With the exception of Pat Hingle's narration, we see nature in its prime during the time of the dinosaurs. The creatures here are designed to a point they are not too far removed from feeling beastly while still having animalistic movements. The only personified element lies in their speaking, which works just fine. Not to mention, the backgrounds look gorgeous throughout. Even when looking at the wastelands or drought-looking environments, it has this alluring, surreal quality that looks gorgeous. You can tell they really played around with the warm and cool colors of each set piece to help each landscape stand out. Even when looking brutal, it still looks great in hand-drawn animation. Well, that's fine and all, but what about you know what? Well, what did you say? We're about to see one hatch right now.
Oh, it looks so cute, and that thing coming out of its shell, oh, that is so adorable for a cute little baby Sarlophus.
What am I saying? Those things are beasts. The munchers, that... No. Not the turtle. Not the turtle. No.
Mama.
Whew. She just got lucky. By Jove, another one.
I say, for one so small, she's quite feisty.
Ooh, don't be quick to judge. You'll be chewing her out later in the movie.
Quay?
Let's skip ahead slightly so we can get to our main character, Littlefoot, voiced by Gabriel Damon, a baby Apatosaurus who is the driving force of the story. Cute factor aside, I do like how the first quarter develops his personality to the audience. He goes from an infant to young kid, and we observe him carry the same qualities as a child would in growing up. He's curious, and tries to be optimistic. This is the character audiences connect with the most in this film, because we get to see him experience things for the first time, like the wonder of nature, and later on, the hardships of life. Take the scene, for example, when he learns about different dinosaur types after his encounter with Sarah.
Why can't I play with that three-horn?
We all keep to our own kind. The three horns, the spiked tails, the swimmers, the flyers. It's always been that way. We never do anything together.
It's helpful for the audience on two levels, understanding the world building and Littlefoot's view of the world. It's a great way to draw your viewers in by showing the situation and then reflecting on why things the way they are here.
Excuse me, Professor Lizard, but,
Go on.
maybe it's just my deep thinking on this whole thing, but given the various terminology I've been hearing here so far with long necks, three horns, does this kind of contemplate into some kind of underlying message of racism?
Funny you should ask, because you're not too far from the pulse. You see, originally, this whole concept of unteaching racism didn't come in until late into production. Midway at most. You see, the original concept would have involved the 5 dinosaurs going off and seeking an old, wiser dinosaur.
Ah, so it was going to be a prehistoric version of the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
With half of the movie complete by May 1987, a 2-day story session was held where major changes to the story got made. Very much 80% of what you see in the final cut was what came out of that meeting. One of the biggest things carried over, which also helped shape the movie, was the idea of having young children taught to hate each other, yet learn how to get along in order to survive. While Don Bluth was never a fan of dinosaurs, he was still invested in the project because this idea of seeing these characters be untaught these prejudiced ideas.
And to see how they achieve that story idea is kind of interesting, given these characters are told to live among their own kind, but they find out later that in order to survive life, they gotta work together.
And how does that all start?
Oh, with a T-Rex attack.
Okay, wait, what?
In one of the most pivotal moments, we do see a hint of this movie's message with this one scene. Even as Littlefoot and Sarah butt heads over a frog, which does lead to some funny banter.
That's my hopper. I saw him first. Well, he's in my pond.
They both get their first taste of real-world danger when they have to go up against a predator. And it very much hints events that are later to come.
This way.
Come back! You're going the wrong way!
Why do these family movies have to have so many frightening things packed into them to remind me how awful reality can be?
Oh, you're timid now, but this scene had to be trimmed down first time around to appease the producers.
You mean it was more terrifying?
More or less.
Normally I save the deleted scenes trivia for later, but this is something that can't be ignored. The story goes is that Steven Spielberg saw a work print screening, and while he enjoyed the movie, Spielberg felt concerned over the intense nature of the sharp-tooth scenes. In fear of traumatizing younger viewers, it was reported that 19 shots were deleted, which involved close-ups of the T-Rex snapping jaws, or moments where Littlefoot and Sarah were placed in deep peril. Looking over what moments got lost from the first T-Rex attack, it does look relatively minor. Yet, the trimmed-down version that exists here is still intense enough. So it only makes me wonder in execution how these bits would have increased the scares. Then again, given the way how things are domino affected, it is already frightening enough. We get Littlefoot's mother fighting back and getting injured in the process. By the way, this deleted animation of her reacting to the sharp tooth biting into her is something I'm glad they lost. It just feels like overkill to me. Then we go from an earthquake that separates everyone to the titular scene that everybody remembers from this movie. The death of Littlefoot's mother.
Methinks that it was bad enough to have an apex predator menacing at your main characters by snapping its jaws at them, but to follow that up with a natural disaster and the death of a parent, one of these things have to be lessened up a little bit on the tension in order to feel the impact of the other two. And speaking of which...
Oh no, I am a scientist, for crying out loud. I can handle any kind of hardship, no matter what it is. I am a scientist, cold-blooded, and I will not succumb to this emotional...
Dear sweet Littlefoot, do you remember the way to the Great Valley?
But why do I have to know you're gonna be with me?
I'll be with you. Even if you can't see me, let your heart guide you. It whispers, so listen closely.
Mother? Mother?
They have emotions. They do have emotions. Admittingly, I'm tempted to hug him, but I don't know exactly how to react to it.
Yeah, this was one scene they couldn't lose, and it was important. The loss of Littlefoot's mother is the major driving force of this movie, because she shares with him a personal goal before her demise.
That is why we must walk as far as we can each day until we reach the Great Valley. It is a wonderful, beautiful place where we can live happily with many more of our own kind.
Also, something that hasn't dawned onto me until now is this. Have you ever noticed that the only bits of Littlefoot's family we see in this movie is the mother and his grandparents? Where in the world is the dad? And considering the massive exodus these characters partake in, it kinda seems sort of douchey for him to not be part of this whole thing. Yeah, I know he does appear in the later canon of these films, but seriously, what's his excuse for not being here?
Hey, Lois, I'm gonna go nail a couple of dinosaurs in the next valley.
Peter, that's terrible.
Hey, I don't know any better. I'm a dinosaur. I don't have morals.
How do you know it's really there?
Some things you see with your eyes. Others you see with your heart.
With the will to find the Great Valley, it's a goal Littlefoot does in memory of her because he wants to succeed in finding this mythical place as much as she wanted to. The problem was trying to show how a small boy can go through the rites of manhood from the passing of a parent. Lots of research went into how to present this iconic moment, even right down to approaching psychologists. The result of that was creating the aftermath scene, albeit an elderly dinosaur named Rooter convincing Littlefoot that death is a natural part of life.
It is nobody's fault. But you see, not all of us arrive together at the end, but she'll always be with you, as long as you remember the things she taught you.
First off, weird as it is to hear Pat Hingle take on a secondary role given he also plays the narrator, I like his performance here. And second, even I admit, as a kid, this scene in general helped me understand that certain harsh events are part of life.
The way I see it, every life is a pile of good things and bad things. The good things don't always soften the bad things, but vice versa. The bad things don't necessarily spoil the good things or make them unimportant.
It's never easy to communicate deep subjects like this, but there's a way to do it. And here, it's well communicated. We see Littlefoot grieve, have a hard time accepting the loss of someone close, and eventually concludes that she is gone, but not forgotten. If the material is delivered in a manner that is understandable and something one can relate to, we will accept it.
If you're
happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
You do realize he is not the only character that's having a tough time here.
You mean there's others?
Enter our mishmash herd of others. First is Ducky, voiced by Judith Barcy, who seeks to find her family that she lost. Again, I do like how they play up the bigoted nature these dinosaurs were taught, but Ducky is too naive to pick up on that.
Don't you know anything? Long necks don't talk to, or whatever you are. I'm a long neck too, see? And I have a long tail like you.
You know, I do admit for one who quite possibly be written as annoying, she's actually kind of adorable.
I contribute that to Judith Barcy's performance here. On paper, this could have gone either way. It could have been sweet and innocent, or a complete nuisance. But here, they have the right child actor, the right delivery, the right performance to make not only a memorable character, but someone that we can actually connect with.
Well, we already have our leader and the optimistic one. How about a pessimistic worrywart? Petrie is interesting because he really tries to be of help, despite his shortcomings. He has the will to fly, but hasn't gained it yet. Even as nervous as he acts, the character still holds a simple goal that we can connect with.
But you are a flyer, not a faller.
Hard things to fly. Oh, mother present. Very important. Oh, yes. I keep safe. Don't let nobody's touch.
Also, I really love Will Ryan's performance here, given the perseverance Petrie has. Even he tries to do as much as he can to avoid being useless.
Also, you can thank Spielberg's son, Max, for getting Will Ryan into this movie. It was actually Max's suggestion after seeing Will Ryan in An American Tail when he donned this character.
Fire me. I'm fed up with that filthy smoke.
Hey.
In this pocket, I've seen kitchen stoves cleaner than this place.
Come on.
In hindsight, I feel this movie gives more for Will Ryan to do, as opposed to playing comedic electrical coin counting sidekick. Is there another movie that has something like that out of curiosity?
And then there is Spike, an orphan stegosaurus that Ducky adopts into the group. Despite being silent, I do like the idea of another dinosaur taking in another from a different species like a sibling. Even if he doesn't talk or do too much, there's one or two moments I find that are relatively cute about him. Though, for some reason, the aftermath scene of his birth always bugged me. I don't know if it's the musical score they used or just Spike's random will to eat his own nest, but something about this always felt weird to me. At best, each member of the group does add one element to another. I do like how each of them are different to help stand out and make this more interesting to see how they can get along, making the journey more difficult. But in order to make that more challenging...
I met the Sharptooth.
Sharptooth!
Let me guess. Nostalgia break.
Agreed. Because after that, we got a whole lot to unpack here.
The greatest battle in the history of the universe is about to begin. The Rulons!
They're about to attack!
Quickly, we'll have to trap them in the canyon.
The Dimetrodons are harmless. Leave them be.
The clever Dino Riders seal off the escape route.
It's up to you, Commandos. Now!
Leaping into the path of the Thundering Giants, the Commandos close off the front of the pass.
Blast them to bits, Ant-Man.
Put this in your Easter basket, Krulos. Don't forget to ride home, Rulons.
The Dino Riders put on the finishing touches. But Krulos escapes on Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Look out! Sky!
The Stegosaurus.
Take this, lizard lips.
I'll be back, Questa.
The battle is over, but the action's just beginning with the complete Dino Riders collection.
Dino Riders!
Discover a land like nothing you've imagined. A land of adventure, fun, friendship, and an unforgettable dinosaur named Littlefoot. When George Lucas and Steven Spielberg present a Don Bluth film, The Land Before Time. Then come to J.C. Penney where you and your children can find your very own Littlefoot and all his dinosaur friends, clothes, and much more. Only at the Land Before Time shop.
Yep, yep, yep.
In the new movie, The Land Before Time, Littlefoot, Sarah, Ducky, and Spike share an incredible journey. Along the way, they become best friends.
Now we'll always be together.
And now these lovable characters can be your child's friends too. With a pizza from Pizza Hut, a Land Before Time dinosaur is only 99 cents. So come to Pizza Hut. Your friends are waiting.
We'll always be together. Pizza Hut, make it great.
You know, I don't quite understand it. How is Sarah's fusion into this group that bothersome? Well, how do I put this?
For a while, it appears Littlefoot's hope for the Great Valley is very much the driving force of this group. Sarah, on the other hand, has something bigger. It's revealed she has an encounter with the Sharptooth prior and learns it's alive.
Why have you woken me from my nap? And where's my donut?
To which she uses that as a leverage of fear.
I hope he doesn't eat any of you. Don't worry, there isn't any Sharptooth.
Yet it makes the journey more interesting because you have two ideologies that are both right. Littlefoot knows the way to the Great Valley, yet he is hopeful that he is correct. Sarah uses her knowledge of the Sharptooth being alive to enact fear among the group to get more control, despite the fact she should have used it as a warning, as opposed to just simply saying, "Follow me because I know this danger that's afoot. I can protect you. Na 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 na." It's kind of interesting to see how the two influence the others, as one just wants to get to a safe place, yet the other just thinks they're better and comes off as being stubborn. And nowhere is that clear when Sarah shows how right she was about the Sharptooth being alive and Littlefoot realizing they're on the right path. I like how at this particular moment they realize, hey, she's right about the danger looming around, but at the same time, hey, there's some hope that the green oasis we're going to is close by. Though, if I had to be a little nitpicky, it is kind of jarring how we go between these two revelations in the stance of a millisecond.
Well, you got me beat there, Sarah. I guess you're right about the T-Rex being alive. Hey, looky over here. It's one of those landmarks my mother told me about that leads us to the Great Valley. I guess I'm right after all, too. Nah, 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 nah. This leads to a boiling point where both leaderships come to a pure head-to-head butting. Literally.
I'm taking the easy way for once. But it's the wrong way! Who says? My mother! Then she was the stupid long neck too.
May I have this one? Just this once. Sure, have at it. Thank you. What an utter I mean, good lord! I mean, earlier in the film, when she and Littlefoot were in danger of the Littlefoot's mother came in to save that but no, she just puts that aside all for her pride. That little decides to just off into a whole other section that's even far away from whatever destination Littlefoot is going to. I mean, sure, he could lead to the Great Valley or somewhere else, but he's hopeful, he's trying. She, on the other hand, is all like, you, I'm going this other way. It may look but at least it looks like something. She finds herself in absolute getting chased after a whole bunch of running after this little as if she's their snack. Well, you know what? That little deserves it. And what's even more degrading of a character is the fact that when she's in her friends have to come in and save that little well, you know what? She truly deserves it, doesn't she? To be embarrassed in her prime to know that little went the wrong path. Well, I say unto her, whew, man, that felt good. Would you like to, add anything? No. I think you summed it up pretty well.
It's your show.
It's interesting how this tussle somewhat mirrors what happened behind the scenes, granted, not to this extreme. It was said that Don Bluth and Spielberg had two different visions in mind, and that kind of clashed. While Bluth was artistic of his choices, Steven Spielberg wanted to make something commercially safe. Methinks Temple of Doom had something to do with it, but that's just a theory. On American Tail, Bluth only had Universal and Spielberg to please. With Land Before Time, not only was there Universal and Steven Spielberg, but also George Lucas. Clearly, there was a lot to juggle around here. And nowhere near is that more present than in the last third, which had to get heavily reworked. In the way it originally played out, Ducky, Petrie, and Spike leave to join Sarah, believing her strong will is the better choice. Littlefoot discovers the Great Valley and finds out the others did go the wrong way. He races back in time to save everyone, but right at the moment when Sharptooth has found the entryway to the Great Valley, realizing they have to get rid of him. In the final cut, this is heavily reworked. The group departs, get into trouble, Littlefoot rescues them, fights Sharptooth, and once victorious, discover the Great Valley. It does make me wonder why so much was reshuffled, but my only guess was to make the reveal of the Great Valley a surprise for the end. Even then, in the original structure, it does make more logical sense, given they don't want the Sharptooth to enter into the Oasis and munch on the other dinosaurs, trying to relax on the other side.
Even as a kid, I always speculated that this was Sharptooth's home, and here they were just invading his space.
You're back!
Remember me as a victim of society and not a monster!
And all the Sharptooth ever really wanted was to go back to his cave and watch the Flintstones on his flat screen.
I could be pretty annoyed too if a bunch of tiny dykes lured me out of my cave and decided to drop a boulder on my head. It still makes for an interesting climax. I just feel the original structure made a little more sense before it got altered.
To think, $1 million worth of footage ended up on the cutting room floor. And that's not counting the other scenes that got storyboarded and never got animated, like Littlefoot nearly getting attacked by a snake, and an oasis where two types of dinosaurs bicker over their resources. Even after the scary stuff was cut down, The Land Before Time was still trimmed down further. Most of the material did end up in trailers and other promotional material, so at least there's an idea of what got lost. The biggest one I do hope that gets discovered is seeing Spike getting added into the group. Apparently the scene goes is that Littlefoot and Sarah argue if they should add in another member, to which Ducky responds by using berries to get Spike's attention. I don't know if this was cut for pacing purposes, yet it always felt weird to go from Spike's birth to immediately seeing him with the group. Don Bluth confirmed in his autobiography that any deleted footage sadly doesn't exist. Anything cut was swept up and tossed into the trash.
Though I still hold out on some hope that quite possibly some of that lost footage exists out there. Somewhere. It has been known that some animators actually make demo tapes, including some deleted scenes that they even worked on. That's how we're able to see stuff like Rockadoodle and We're Back. So I hold out for a little bit of hope, but until some of that does surface, it's going to remain lost. But for the time being, at least we have a pretty good idea of what we're missing out on for the time being. So we know exactly what to look for.
That is quite nice and all, but just out of sheer morbid curiosity, how did The Land Before Time do at the box office?
About that.
This was a big deal because it was battling against another animated movie during the Thanksgiving season of 1988. In this case, Disney's Oliver and Company. While Land Before Time did earn $84 million worldwide, domestically, it was a different story. Compared to Disney's Dog Flick, which earned $53 million, Land Before Time's domestic gross was only $48 million, but there's a reason for it. On opening weekend, it was Land Before Time that got the top spot, and for 4 whole weekends held on to it. Until Oliver and Company caught up by week 5 and topped the dinosaurs.
Apparently somebody over at Universal's marketing department decided to shift all of the marketing over to some of their other films, feeling that Land Before Time still had legs at the box office. Whoops! But thankfully there is one other factor that clearly determines that Bluth's movie was the true victor of that Thanksgiving season. Ooh. Does it have to deal with merchandising tie-ins with J.C. Penney's and Pizza Hut? Close. It's the critics and the audience.
No disrespect to Oliver and Company, I like both films fine on their own, but Land Before Time is easily the better one. There's heart, effort, emotion, characters you root for, characters you can be okay with being mad at, and it has a simple narrative to follow, gorgeous animation, and a beautiful score by the late James Horner. I do feel bad for the behind-the-scenes tales. I don't think it drastically hurts the final cut. For a 60-minute flick, it never drags because it keeps the story light and engages you within the world and characters that live in it. It's one of my favorite movies, and I still feel like my words can't do enough justice to how big of a masterpiece this truly is.
Admittedly, I do agree. It's got its harsh moments, but it does say quite a lot in terms of how so innocent and cute things are. They're able to get through the most harshest of realities. Though, admittingly, there's one tiny thing that still does bug me.
If it's about that never-ending franchise, don't get me started. I mean, I have heard that Don Bluth hasn't seen any of the sequels, but holds great respect for those who worked on them. I mean, they had to get jobs and things like that, but even he feels they're complete corporate shills. But then again, how can he hate something he hasn't even seen?
Wait, pause. Given that this was a co-production between Bluth and Steven Spielberg, how come they never made another movie together after this one?
Yeah, about that.
Remember when I said earlier they had a 3-picture deal? Well, movie number 3 would have been Fievel Goes West, but here's what happened. Spielberg pitched it to Don Bluth, and Bluth was open to actually doing it, under the request that it had to be made for less than the original $9 million budget of the first one. While Bluth was eager, Morris Sullivan wasn't, and he requested a bigger budget. With no deal made, Spielberg went off to create Ammonation, which featured a variety of fresh and upcoming animators. Some of them who came from Bluth's own studio, because Spielberg offered them more pay, and he wanted the best in the business for his new animation facility.
What did Don Bluth do after that? Did he fight back?
Actually, no. He just pressed on forward and viewed it as nothing more but friendly competition. Sure, he would have had the option to fight Spielberg back, but what's the point? I mean, if it wasn't for him, he wouldn't have gotten their independent animation studio off the ground. He opted to pick up the pieces and press on forward to the next film project. All dogs go to heaven. Sure, you could live your whole life holding a grudge, but what's the point when there's so much to enjoy? We are only on this planet for such a short time. Why not make it worth your while?
Morgan, I don't know if I'm fully cured, but I think I'll be fine from here on out.
You sure you don't have any more problems with, dinosaurs?
Nah, I think your help was just enough. Thank you, friend.
Friend. Even though a majority of us have gone in separate ways, there's still one thing I do wonder. Do they remember me as much as I remember them?
When the road gets dark and you can no longer see, just let my love throw a spark and have a little faith in me. When the tears you cry, oh, you can believe. Just give these loving arms a try, babe. Have a little bit of faith in me. When your secret heart cannot speak so easily, come here, darling, from a whisper start, to have a little bit of faith in me. When your back's against the wall, just turn around and you will see. I'll be there to catch your fall. Just have a little bit of faith in me. Have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me, baby. Have a little faith in me. All you gotta do is just have a little bit of faith in me.
This is all your dreams come true.
Jack Kavanaugh thinks books aren't cool. But one book will make him think again.
What land do you hail from?
They call me Jack. Mad Jack.
Not bad for a wench.
Every step takes them closer to unimaginable dangers.
The closer we near the treasure, the stronger this isle's magic will be.
Zachary Ty Bryan of television's Home Improvement stars in Magic Island.
Cut.
Well, how would you have them talk? Just
I would not necessarily have them talk. I would do the entire thing in pantomime.
Well,
just as the wonderful movie that I liked so much and you didn't, Benji the Hunted, which didn't have any dialogue in it at all. That little dog saving the leopard cubs and fighting with the wolf and so forth. There was no dialogue in that. It was live animals, so it was harder to do.
Well, I don't know that would work. I mean, this picture I happen to enjoy. I thought that, and I guess you did too.
Yeah, I did. There's one logical error in it. Did you catch it? At the beginning of the film, the brontosaurus is said to be the last of his species.
Oh, I know.
And at the end, it said that they lived for many generations.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to spoil for everyone. I mean, the answer is, when are they going to get eaten? Obviously, it's coming up, and you're going to have to find that out in part 2 or explain it to your children on the way home why they can't go see a brontosaurus today.
Bring Fievel home on videocassette and watch him bring fun.
You in the front. Higher, higher.
Laughter. Joy. Tears. And love to your whole family. Steven Spielberg presents An American Tale, a Don Bluth film, now at video retailers everywhere.